And, they're talking about a skit and how much fun it would be. And, last week or so I said, oops, we never finished doing that. So there are no young adults up here to do this. It's me. And I was planning to preach on Science Sunday, because I did last year, and that was fun. I even picked the cover of one of my favorite books from Douglas Adams' 5-book trilogy, which is an odd thing all by itself. And then, as so often happens to me, the Spirit said, yeah, you're not going to preach that. I was like, okay, fine. So this is not going to be about evolution or science, but it is about fish. In the 4th chapter of Luke's Gospel, Jesus was tempted by the devil, almost thrown off a cliff by his friends and neighbors. And then he went around teaching and casting out demons and healing the sick, including Simon Peter's mother-in-law so she could cook dinner, and preaching in Judean synagogues. Already he had become so famous that crowds were a real problem. Luke tells us in chapter 4, verse 43, that the crowds were looking for him. And when they found him, they tried to keep him from leaving them. Think first century superstar. Everywhere he went, people wanted to be near him, crying out for his attention, begging to be healed, begging for him to cast out their demons, to change their lives. So one day, he had some fishermen take him out a little way from shore so he could preach without being overwhelmed by the crowds. Now, the boats were sitting next to the lake because the fishermen fished at night. That's when they made their best catches. Their years of experience taught them that this was the best time to catch fish. Jesus told the fishermen, including Simon Peter, to let their nets down, even though it was the middle of the day and they hadn't caught anything all night long. And I could almost hear Simon Peter thinking, yeah, you're a preacher and a carpenter, not a fisherman. This is my area of expertise, and I happen to know fish here are most likely to be caught at night. But we'll do as you ask. Surprise, surprise, surprise. The nets were filled with fish. So full it took 2 boats to bring the nets in. And even with 2 boats, the fish nearly capsized them. All they had to do was follow Jesus' instructions, and the fish practically jumped into the boat. Now, according to Luke, this is when Simon Peter and the sons of Zebedee became Jesus' disciples. As you may remember, John's Gospel has a different account of how the disciples were called, but this is the way Luke tells it, that after causing the fishermen to catch more fish than they knew what to do with, Jesus said to them, from now on, you will be catching people. And as soon as they brought the boats to the shore, they left everything and followed Jesus. Wait, they did what? They left everything right then and there? What about their families? What about their jobs and other responsibilities? What about all those fish? Did they just leave them there? The very idea of dropping everything like that kind of freaks us out a little bit because it's pretty much the opposite of what we're taught to do as adults. I mean, adulting is hard. Mostly because we can't just up and do whatever we want to, whenever we want to. We have responsibilities that come first. Families, jobs, our community. Imagine James and John saying, we'll catch up with you, Jesus. Right after we deal with the fish, tell our dad we're leaving the family business, kiss our wives and kids goodbye, and pack a few things. We'll catch up. Yet not. They left everything, and they followed Jesus as soon as they brought the boats to shore. Most of us aren't asked to leave our families and our jobs and places in the community to follow Jesus. Mind you, some are. More than half of my seminary classmates were people who left behind successful careers to become ministers of the gospel. There were nurses, accountants, several teachers, corporate officers, a high school principal, and even an attorney. Some of them lost spouses because of their call. Their spouse could not understand what would make anybody give up a successful, stable, and well-paid career for the ministry, which is not known to be a well-paid career for most people. They don't understand how strong Jesus' call was and is. But for most people, following Jesus does not require that kind of sacrifice. But we are all called to leave behind anything that holds us back from following Jesus. And that requires hard work. That requires a whole lot more than being able to quote scripture or show up on Sunday morning. It requires being the kind of person who attracts others to whatever it is that makes us the way we are. A caring, loving, giving, non-judgmental person. A person about whom other people say things like, I want to be her when I grow up. If we are to be fishers for people, we have to have the right bait. We can have all the evangelism tools in the world. We can have the best preaching and the best website and the best postcards and the best worship experiences and the best Bible studies and the best small groups and the best music, which we do. But if we have not love, we have no bait. If we have not love, we will be like the fisherman in the story who said, Master, we worked all night long, but we caught nothing. In his first letter to the church in Corinth, Paul makes it clear to us just how important it is to have love. If I speak in the tongues of mortals and angels, but do not have love, I am a noisy gong or a clanging cymbal. And if I have prophetic powers and understand all the mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have all faith so as to move mountains, but do not have love, I am nothing. If I give away all my possessions and I hand over my body so that I may boast, but do not have love, I gain nothing. If we would follow Jesus, we have to leave behind all of those things that hold us back, our worries, our fears, our favorite sins. Yes, we have favorite sins, like maybe, overdosing on Girl Scout cookies. Just saying. You may be saying to yourself, well, simply, I am not good enough. I can't fish for people when I have so many things that I have to change about myself. But here's the thing. You are good enough to fish for people just exactly the way you are. It is our very imperfections that make us so good at it. As Nadia Bolz-Weber said in her book, Accidental Saints, Finding God in All the Wrong People, never once did Jesus scan the room for the best example of holy living and send that person out to tell others about him. He always sent stumblers and sinners. I find that comforting. And look at who Jesus chose to be his disciples. Look at his followers in the early days of the church. Paul comes to mind. And when those people went fishing, they fished for all people, not just particular sorts of people. They weren't targeting a particular demographic. They didn't care about filling the pews with folks who could afford to help support the ministry. They fished for men and women, rich and poor, young people and old people, healthy people and sick people, even lepers, housed and homeless, free and slaves, law-abiding people and criminals, people everyone despised and people everyone admired. In the early days of the church, their very ordinariness made them attractive to other people, and people would come to see what it was that made them these very diverse groups of people. What made them go out and help others for no payment, no benefit for themselves? They even helped people who weren't part of the church, just anybody who was nearby. They would go and feed and comfort and help to heal. They didn't worry about whether somebody deserved to be helped. They helped everybody. They went out telling others that God loves them no matter who they are or what they do for a living or what they have done in their lives. And the more they spoke of living in God's kingdom on earth and following the commandments that Jesus had given his disciples and showed other people what that meant by the way they lived their lives, loving and caring for everyone they encountered, bar none. The more they told people all of these things, the more people were attracted to this new way of living. Their neighbors came to see what it was that had changed people they'd known for so many years. Strangers came to find out why these people cared about them. Everyone was welcome. Everyone, even the worst sinners, and the church grew and grew as they continued to carry the good news of God's love for all the world. Any fisherman will tell you, the better the bait, the better the catch. And for Christians, the bait is love. When we go from this place today, let us consider the world our fishing hole. Let us use the bait of love, our love for others, to attract people, all people, into Christ's family, this family. All we have to do is follow Jesus' instructions, and the fish will practically jump into the boat. Amen?
Amen.
Would you stand and join me?